Underneath it all, who are we sexually? Bible, Cufflinks, and Stilettos, with Ghiselle St. James. Monday nights at 10 p.m. For mature audiences only.
Welcome everyone to Bible, Cufflinks, and Stilettos. It's me again. It's Ghiselle St. James, author, counselor, everything in one, and your gracious host tonight. I am so happy to be joining you here this evening as we continue our conversation on owning my sexuality. The last 2 weeks have been amazing. Remember, the first week we went into, who we are underneath it all, and we looked at ways that we can figure out who we are sexually. And then last week, we had that dynamic conversation with Dr. Faith as we talked about spiritually who we are and owning that side of us. So this week is going to be another exciting week. And I don't even want to take too much out of the conversation that we're going to have tonight. So I just want us to go into our self check. We're going to go into our self check because for me, self check is important. We have to see where we are at. So before we go into our session, let's talk. I'm just asking you three self check questions. Are you relaxed? Next question. Will you clear your mind from all preconceived notions as it relates to sex and intimacy? Will you accept what this session will teach you tonight? Now, if your answers are yes, it means that we're ready to go, right? Right. We are ready to go. Now, as I would have mentioned to you, we're having that real, honest, and practical conversation about owning our sexuality. And tonight, we're going to be joined by our life coach, our success coach, Coach Racquel, as we talk to you about owning your sexuality from an empowered perspective. As I said last week, we looked at the spiritual aspect of it. And tonight we are really delving in to an empowered point of view. And we want you guys to join the conversation. I want you to like, comment, you know, share it with everyone that you know of, and we can have this open and honest conversation about something that has been so neglected within our community, whether it is the Black community or it is faith-based community. It has been long neglected, and we are owning this conversation and putting it out there in a positive way. So, as you know, I like to make sure that I have some prayer while we're at it. So, Lord, we thank you for this conversation. We thank you for this topic. We thank you for the persons who birthed this topic. And Lord, I pray that as we have this discussion tonight, that Lord, we will not lean onto our own understanding, but we will allow ourselves to be open to your inspiration. Thank you for what will be discussed here tonight. Thank you for the person's eyes that will be open. And thank you for the more acceptance of self that will occur as a result of tonight's episode. We believe all that you are for us. We believe in everything that you have inspired us to do. So I pray that others will be inspired as well to have this conversation with their spouses and have greater sex as you would have ordained. Thank you once more in your name I pray. Amen. So last week, ladies and gentlemen, we looked at the scripture from Genesis 2, verse 25. Now, this week, we are looking at it in a more in-depth way. And when I talk about in-depth, we're talking about from that socially, emotionally, you know, every other alley that we have not looked at yet. All of those ways, those personal ways, that empowered way where we can say we are owning who we are because no one is going to make us feel ashamed of it. And to talk a little bit more of that is with us, Coach Racquel. Coach, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Great,
Can you
great,
hear me?
great. I am well. I am so excited.
Wonderful.
I am hearing you.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
I'm so excited to talk about this
Me
conversation
too.
because you see,
Yes.
when we talk about sex, we are so closed-minded
Hmm.
about this conversation. We don't even want to talk about it sometimes, even amongst our friends. And sometimes when we're amongst our friends, we succumb to things like groupthink. Groupthink
Yes.
sometimes beats us because we're saying, okay, so they like that sort of thing. So maybe I need to like that sort of thing too. We probably don't do our own investigation, our own research. We just feel like because the majority of my friends like that particular thing, oh, I will like it too. If they don't like a certain thing, I don't like it either. How can we as human beings get away from things like groupthink, especially when it comes to owning our sexuality?
The thing is, if I don't, how do I honor me? How do I value me? How do I put me first when I don't know me? When I
Mm,
don't, and if I don't know me, how do I know me sexually? How do I know what I like, what I don't like, if I am in a space where I'm unwilling to even explore who I am? I also think that
yes.
I think sometimes what happens is because society has this great energy and culture comes with this energy, we allow
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to be eroded by all that information and opinions
Mm,
and thoughts and ideas, and we take it on and it just erodes all of what we are already thinking for ourselves or wanting for ourselves or knowing of
yes.
ourselves. And
Yes.
so for some people, they I
Yes.
believe they feel like they've already lost the fight, so it's easier to just go along to get along.
Go along with it. Yes. Yes.
I'll
Yes.
just go
Yes.
along to get
And
along because it's easier.
go along to get along. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And
Yes.
as I would have shared in the last episode, you're in a group of people and they're talking about how, oh, I waited until I got married, before I had sex, and you're there not wanting to talk about it because listen, I didn't wait. I had to wait through three men who unsatisfied me before I could find my husband who satisfied me, or not even that, before I found a man who satisfied me. And we hardly want to talk about that part of it because we're in a space that
Yeah.
their
Judgment.
idea of sex, right? Their
Yeah, you're
idea
going
of
to be
sex is so
judged.
judgmental.
Yes.
Right. So we hide that part of us because of the fear of judgment. But in
Yes.
order to own our sexuality, we have to strip off those scales of fear.
Right, because the judgment first comes from
Yeah,
us. We're already judging ourselves and
exactly.
we're judging those who are talking.
Exactly.
So if you see, we have to get to a
Exactly.
place of truth. We have to get to a
Mm,
place of truth of who am I? Who am I and who do I want to be? Right? And what
yes.
does sex mean to me? I was born through sex. I mean, sex embodies
Yes.
me. How do we
Mm-hmm.
pretend like something that brought us here that is how we were conceived. That is how That is how we come into existence. Now, how do we get to a place where this essential thing becomes so tabooed that we disregard it? I think these are the disregarding our sexuality leads to us having all the other relational issues. Because when I can't be myself, I remember when I started being expressive, my favorite word is the F word, and I'm proud to say it. I'm not afraid of it. But I remember when I started being open and having conversations, people would draw to the conclusion, and even my friends would be asking me, "You're having a lot of sex?" And I was very celibate. You know, it's as though for you to acknowledge your sexuality, then you must be pounding. You're experiencing a lot of pounding. Because we associate it with prostitution. And I think it's about time we reclaim that. We need to reclaim that. Sex does not belong to the dark sides of society. And I'm not saying that prostitution is the dark side, but the way we speak about it, it's as though it is. It's in this dark room. Keep it around there. You know, your nipples showing, cover it up. And I'm not even saying to expose yourself or not, but someone who's confident in who they are and understand this is who I am, and you can really truly say this is what makes me feel sexy. This is because sexiness and sex by itself isn't a sin, so why do we treat it like one?
Isn't a sin. Exactly. Our body isn't a sin either.
Exactly.
We can't keep treating our bodies as sinful.
Yes, exactly. But that is what we do, and I think sometimes we do it because we want to feel accepted. I think a lot of us are wearing a lot of masks, right? We want to go with the path of least resistance because we don't want to have to fight. Hi, Apostle Faith. Thank you for greeting us. It's nice to see you.
Hi.
Yes, but you see, if you're living in shame in any area of your life, it will show up in your bedroom. It will show up in your relationship. I always say,
talk about it.
Yes, I always say that you will never get a result greater than the quality or quantity of your relationships. And that applies in the bedroom as well. You will never get the best out of your husband if you cannot get the best out of your own sexuality, right? You can't get the best out of your wife if you yourself have a warped understanding of sexuality. And I think that there is an intentional disruption of the flow of sexuality and sex, because with sex comes power. With sex comes power. Comes power. Right? Whether power over someone or the power to become or be something. Sex is used because this is the question, right? How did sex get so tabooed in one area of society? But in another area of society, it is the most profitable commodity.
So free. Yes.
Right? They use sex to sell everything. Right? So how does this thing that everyone sees as the way to wealth, the way to generate income, become so tabooed in another area? How does it affect our economic understanding and our economic power? When sex is tabooed, it affects everything about your life. It affects your community. It affects your capacity. And so we have to really look into these things and really explore and ask ourselves, because the culprit is not the external person. It's us. We make up the society. We make up the culture. Exactly. There you go.
Warp it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because and sometimes this comes from the trauma that we go through as a child. Sometimes the introduction of sex to us is so unpleasant. So we start thinking this is an unpleasant, ugly thing. It's an ugly thing. And by saying it's an ugly thing, we're saying I am an ugly thing. So this is what I say, get therapy and coaching so you can have the sex life you deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You deserve. I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I think I want to talk about what Dr. Faith is saying. She's saying why sex is taboo is because many from the church world believe it should be in its perspective, as the scripture says, that we must be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And for them, that's it. And it's so true. And when we are taught that this is what sex is for, and we don't look at the other side of it, that it is also for pleasure, we find that, okay, if it is not having to do with being fruitful and multiplying, it's wrong.
Yes.
So we have to now retrain our thinking into
Yes.
knowing that it is not just to be fruitful and multiply. It is for stress relief. It is just if you want to
I call
have
it the free
deeper
vacation.
connection with your spouse. Oh
Yes.
yes, man. Oh yes.
It's the
Oh
only
yes. Oh
vacation. It's
yes.
the, you know what I always I pay attention to when you eat something that tastes really nice. For me, it feels orgasmic. When I'm really
Oh
connecting with
yes.
God, for me, it feels orgasmic.
Some
When you
good
have really
seafood.
good
Yeah.
sex, it is supposed to be orgasmic. So I have to ask myself,
Yes.
God intended for me to have orgasmic experiences.
Yes. Yes.
So I have to know.
Exactly.
Yes. So I have to get to a place where I understand my own individuality and understand that, yes, there's
Mhm.
a culture. Yes, there are people going through different experiences, but how do I find my voice? Like I think it's Kiki that says, how do I quiet the noise to find my voice? There is
Mm.
something that
Yes.
Marsha
Yes.
gave from the Wealth Mindset show on Saturday. She said something about wealth, and I think it's applicable to sex. She said, there's a quote that someone told her, it's your stinking thinking that's got you sinking.
Mm.
I think the same thing applies in
Yes.
sex. The way you think about it,
Mhm.
the way you
Mhm.
process it, the way you treat it is the reason you're not having good sex.
Yes.
Good sex is not just
Having good
about,
sex.
right. It's,
Yes.
you've got to sit, and I believe that if if you're a believer and question things, it's okay to question even the Bible. While
Mhm.
all
Even
purposes
about
are
yeah.
influenced, all purposes are inspired by God, but men execute it.
Mhm.
Men execute
Yes.
it. And as
Yes.
long
Yes.
as
Yes.
I believe, this is my belief, as long as man imprinted on anything, I am within my right to question it because it
To
means it isn't
question,
perfect. So even in the
and I
case of
deserve
the
some
Bible,
answers.
yes, and remember, even the Bible was
Mhm.
contextual. Everything could not hold in this one book.
Mhm.
They couldn't break down everything for you. So you have to decide, what do I want my sex life to be?
To
That's,
look
you're the
like
only,
yes.
yes, it's okay to have access to all these information, to do research,
Mhm.
to reflect on, to see, okay, what
Mhm.
what will bring me harmony, because there is also a need. Nobody wants to walk out and every time you step out of your house you're arguing with someone. So yes, there is a certain amount of getting along
Exactly.
or agreement that you desire,
Mhm.
but every life
Yes.
should have a plan. Every business have a plan, right? Every
Yes.
business has a plan. So every
Mhm.
life should
Oh
have a
yes.
plan.
Oh
Do
yes.
you know
Oh
why they
yes.
let you register your
Oh
business? I
yes.
believe they have you register your business because they needed to have a birth certificate. Because that thing becomes an entity. It's the same thing with a human being.
Oh
You're
yes.
an
Oh
entity. You
yes.
have to
Oh
have a
yes.
life plan. You have to have anything you want to
Mhm.
succeed in, whether it's sex, money, or anything. You've got to have a
Mhm.
plan around it.
Talk
Why is
about
it
it.
we
Talk
why is
about
it
it.
we invest so heavily in education, but we leave our relationships and our sex
Mm.
life to chance? Why?
Empty. Yes. True. True.
And
Talk
expect
about
it
it.
to
Talk about
just
it.
happen. It's just supposed to happen.
Mhm.
You know, and
Yes.
and and
Yes.
and
True.
anything that you're hiding, anything you're doing in hiding cannot be fully explored or enjoyed.
Oh no. So
So we
true.
have, yeah, we
So
have to
so
get to a
so so
place
true.
of, I'm lovely, I'm beautiful, I'm sexy, I can touch myself if I
Yes.
want to. It's
And
my body.
right.
How can
Right.
touching me
Right.
be nasty or ugly or anything? And it doesn't,
Exactly.
and it's only down to,
Exactly.
do I want to? Do I want to?
Right.
And there are people listening to me
Right.
right now thinking, I'm touching myself. See? Open your minds. It's okay to have a conversation around something. It's okay to explore it. It's okay
And
to go
you
in.
touch on that.
Yes.
You touch on that, coach, and I just want to say there are some times, well, I don't know about anybody else, but I knew about in my marriage, my
Yes.
husband would want me to do that, and in the initial stages I couldn't. I felt
Wow.
so weird, he's watching me, and I'm like, no, why do you want me to do that? I couldn't understand it. But this is someone I'm saying, but I can do it in private. Why can't I do it in front of my husband?
There
And
you
it's
go.
the moments that I started to, all right, let me change and reframe my thinking. That is when those little things started coming out of my head, like, all right, maybe I don't look good enough, or it's going to look weird. I start stripping away those little thoughts, and I was able to now open myself up to him like a flower, so that he
Yes.
can see, the
Mm-hmm.
nectar of that pleasure. So we
Yes.
have to strip away those previous conceived notions, those preconceived notions about sex,
Yes.
and it being nasty and dirty, and those
Right.
things that we think are private. We now need to bring it over into our relationship so that we can have richer sexual experiences.
Right. And we really need to ask ourselves, I was born this way. I was conceived through sex. At
Mhm.
what point in my life did I start thinking the way I entered this world was bad and horrendous and just disgusting? And go back
Oh,
there
yeah.
and fix that.
Mm.
Go back there and
Yes.
fix that. Yes.
Yes.
I'm single,
Yes.
but this is why I'm single.
Yes.
I want to have some great, amazing, mind blowing
Mm-hmm.
sex. And because I want that, I want to wait for the
That's
person
right.
who I feel confident with and safe with to be able to have just
Mm-hmm.
that
Yes.
amazing, wonderful sex.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Can I use the
Yes.
F word on
Yes.
this show?
And
Go have sex. It's okay. Yes? It's
yes,
your
man.
personal business.
Go.
You
Go.
choose to do it. Yes? I used to say this as a driver, right? On the road. Sometimes when I'm driving, persons will be like, the traffic light, that it's that. And I'll be like, calm down. I can break the traffic light. I can break the laws governing the use of the road. I just know there's a consequence. It's not, I think sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
take in these information and we make them fact. We solidify them in our
Yeah.
minds and they become gospel fact, like, oh my gosh, this is how it has to be. It's a
Mm.
crying shame if faith believers, if believers or people of faith who have a husband or a wife who love them are having mediocre sex. What a shame. That's where you should go invest, I believe,
Mm.
because when that's
Mm.
when
Yes. Yes.
when sexually we become satisfied, we become empowered, we become
Mm-hmm.
inspired. I have
We are
worked with a sexual health
empowered.
authority.
Yes.
Exactly, I worked with a sexual health authority in Jamaica for a long time. I was there for, I think it was like between 4 or 5 years, and thereafter I became a consultant with them. And when I took the time to listen to even the research, that what the data is saying and everything, I'm like,
Mm.
so why it's free? It's the only free vacation that you get. That you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to ask for
Yes.
it. You
Yes.
can do it
Yes.
anytime, anywhere. Yet we rob ourselves of it because we are robbing ourselves.
Oh, yes.
We are stealing it
We
from
are.
ourselves.
We are.
Yes, I think we have to
Yes.
get into the habit
And we
of.
are robbing from ourselves too.
Mhm.
We are robbing from ourselves too when we don't open ourselves up to what we can offer. Because if
Right.
we're owning our sexuality, it's not just about what we can get sexually, but what can we offer
Offer.
sexually as
Yes.
well. We
Hmm.
need to get there as well. So we are robbing ourselves of really mind blowing sex when we don't talk about what we can offer as well, when we don't have
Right.
a conversation, an open, honest conversation that,
Mm-hmm.
you know how men like to talk about what women bring to the table and all that kind of
Right.
thing. We need to start talking about sexually what it is that we bring to the table. And we're not just talking
Yes.
about, oh, I can have bomb sex. No, 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 no.
Right.
Talk about it. When you're making a budget, don't you itemize everything?
There you
So
go.
itemize what you
Yes.
bring to the table sexually.
Absolutely.
Itemize what
Absolutely.
you bring to the table. And if I'm owning my sexuality, I
Hmm.
must be able to say the words. It is not just,
Yes.
oh, I will kiss your penis. No, no, no. I give bomb head, or I
And
put
I
on
will
oral
massage
sex,
it and use my
and
lips to
I
massage my tongue
over
to massage it, or
talk
whatever
about it,
you like to
talk
do. Whatever
about it,
you must. This is what
talk
I think.
about it.
If I cannot have an open conversation with a man, then you're not going to be
Right,
inserting your
right.
penis inside of me. We must be able to talk
Simple.
about what we're about to do. And if I can't speak about it in a
Yes.
safe place with you,
Mm-hmm.
then what are you
Mm-hmm.
doing inside of me? Sex is such
Right,
a soul
right.
connecting process.
Oh my
Why are we doing it
goodness.
under the
Yes.
cover?
Yeah.
If you can't
Yeah.
love all, I'm the prize. He's a prize
Mm-hmm.
too. But
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
you can't love all of me,
That's
what am I
right.
doing with you in bed?
That is
What
right.
am, what am I doing? So it's you cannot, until you own you have nothing to offer to anyone. So
Oh, come
until you
on.
own your sexuality, you have
Nothing
no
to
sex,
offer.
no romance, no none of that to
Come
offer.
on. Talk about it.
What are you
Talk about it.
offering?
Talk about it.
There's nothing like, have you ever had an honest conversation with someone? Like, true, it is so inspiring. Just imagine if you're with someone who you can have this great conversation with, this
Mm,
openness, and
open.
when you're
Mm-hmm.
done, and you can say, I didn't really like that, or I like that. And when
Yeah.
you're done, that person can compliment and say, yeah, I kind of like this one
Mm-hmm.
too. Just imagine
Oh
what
yes.
you could cook up
Oh yes.
if we
Oh
could
yes.
just talk about
Oh
it
yes.
and engage. Sex is a topic like Bible, like
Yes.
happiness. It's no different.
Oh yes.
And because we talk
Mm-hmm.
about sex in a with such passion or whatever, doesn't mean we're having great sex. I'm celibate, but I'm a learned person. I'm an avid
Exactly.
reader. I'm
Exactly.
also I'm an insightful person.
Exactly.
I know who I am. I know what I like. I can have a conversation on sex or any other topic and go
That's
on for
right.
days. That does not tell
That's
you who I
right.
am.
That is right.
That does not tell you who I am, and it doesn't tell
Exactly.
you who I am in
Exactly.
my bedroom.
It just means that you own. It just says that you own your
I own my
sexuality.
sexuality,
That's
and in
just what
so
it
doing,
means.
I can
That's just what it
freely
means.
speak about it because I have nothing to be
That is
ashamed
right.
about.
And
And if you go ahead,
exactly.
yes,
And
and this is it.
a big thing for me,
Mhm.
sorry, a big
That's
thing for
okay.
me is because I am an author. I'm an
Yes.
author and I write erotic romances.
Mhm.
My imagination goes wild because I am so open sexually in terms of
Mhm.
having a conversation, in terms of research. I am a big person on research. I like to research.
Yeah, me
I like
too.
to I like to look at things to make sure that I'm coming from an informed standpoint. So when I write about sex, in the way that I write it. When males read my book, the first thing they start thinking is that, oh, you're having a lot of sex. Oh, this cannot be just from your head. This has to be from experience. No, it's not from experience
And
well
if it is
alone.
from experience, it's the experience of instinct. You have instinct too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know what pleases me. I know what pleases me. So I write about what could possibly please me and in the way that it could please me. So it's not about me having a lot of sex. I am coming from, yes, an
And
informed
it shouldn't
standpoint
be
because
whether or
I
not
was
you are. Focus.
focused.
Think on yourself.
Focused.
Focus on
I'm
your,
saying
yeah. So
that is
when
right.
someone talks about
That
something
is
and you're
right.
busy in their life, who is it? Whose sex life are you trying to build? Theirs or yours?
Mm,
Focus on your own. But this is where I think
exactly.
everything starts,
Exactly.
right? We have to become
Mm-hmm.
health seeking and help seeking.
Yes.
Yes, we need to become
Yeah.
health seeking and help seeking, because I
Help
do
seeking.
believe that it could be that persons who are experiencing who are having negative sexual experiences could be people who have health issues that they may need to address. Yes, and for those persons
Yeah.
who feel that who have gone through sexual traumas, I have,
Trauma.
but yes, seek help. This is why I say seek help. That whoever robbed you or mistreated you or abused you should never get the win in the end.
That's right.
They
That's
should
right.
never be the reason you never have the. Listen, life is so tough and challenging. I listen, Lord, send my husband because I ought to be having amazing sex. I deserve it. You know what I mean? If you're married, do it, because sometimes it helps, it's healing, it's comforting, it's there to, it was God's way of. That's why I know God is an amazing God, because he thought that, hey, I'm not just going to say produce. There are many ways he could have write reproduction, but he decided that he's going to make it so that you get something out of it. Come on.
Out of it.
Call
Yes.
in your
That's
card to
right.
God.
That's right.
Calling, and
That's
you're
right.
always
That's
praying. You're
right.
praying about money, and you're praying about tragedy and all kind of. Sometimes,
Pray
listen.
about having good
I
sex
hear
too.
people praying about life is miserable. Stop it. Pray for great sex. Pray for great sex. Lord,
Oh,
I
yes.
need
Oh, yes.
amazing orgasms.
Come on. Come
Empower
on.
my
Talk
husband,
about
my
it.
wife, so they can learn my body.
Body. Yes. Come
Yes.
on.
Teach my partner how to love me, how to open me up like a
Yes.
flower, how to connect
Yes.
with me.
Yes.
Nothing is wrong with that.
Come
Nothing's
on.
wrong with it. It's just another topic for discussion.
That's
Like
right.
every
That's
other areas
all.
of your life, you should never enter into anything without proper conversation and medical checks.
And coach,
Yes.
I just want to say, I saw the question earlier about why do we feel like good sex determines a good marital relationship. Listen, a
We
lot of us
confuse it. Yes.
neglect sex in a relationship. We feel like it's not important. We're not saying it is the end all be all, but if all you are focusing on in your marriage is just to connect, you know, relationally, emotionally, but you're forgetting those physical aspects that make you up. All of these things, when you talk about making love, ladies and gentlemen, it talks about sex, it talks about the emotional connection, it talks about even the psychological connection that you have with the person. All of
And with
those things we
yourself.
call
And with
making love,
yourself.
and with yourself.
Yes.
It's all about making love. And if I bring myself to the table as whole as I am, as empowered as I am sexually, and the other person brings themselves to the table as whole and empowered and sexual as they are, it enhances the
It
relationship.
has the potential to, yes, but and in addition to that, in response to the question, I understand what she's saying. Where I remember there was a clip that Apostle Faith said when she said, "Because we had sex, you don't know me." Yeah,
Mm,
there are many ways to have sex. There is where you're having sex with a partner, or it's just a pastime, or it's just an
yeah.
activity, an event that you have and you get past. Because some persons have, I don't know if you call it recreational sex or whatever it's called,
Stress
right?
relief. Stress relief.
Sex is only one aspect of a relationship, and it does not a
Yeah,
relationship define.
that's right.
Sex
That is
does
right.
not define what a relationship
That is
is.
it.
There's a whole lot more that goes into what a relationship is. However, I think there's an error that we make sometimes, is that we get into relationships just for sex, or
Sex.
primarily for sex. And
Talk
that
about
runs
it.
us
Talk
into a
about it.
lot of
Talk about
issues.
it.
So
Talk
that's what I'll
about it.
say.
Talk
Yeah.
about it. Yes. So, 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 so true. And this is one thing that I will end with, ladies and gentlemen. If you are empowered in owning who you are sexually, listen to me. Sex can be cathartic. You can be having some good sex, and in the next moment, you are bawling your eyes out, not because it's bad, not because it probably brought up some terrible memories or anything like that, but it's because it brings you so much release and relief and catharsis. It makes you shed. So if you are owning that power within you sexually, you can use it for good. And that is what I want to make sure that you're doing. You're using your sexuality for good. You are not lording it over anyone. You are not using it to harm anyone, and you're not using it to harm yourself. Be empowered as you navigate your relationship sexually. And know this, it is not just the only part of your relationship. Don't neglect the other parts, but make sure that you are empowered to talk openly and honestly about who you are sexually and what you can offer to make your relationship an even better one. So, ladies and gentlemen, woo, the conversation done, and it coming like it's just getting exciting. I want to thank Coach Racquel for being here with us tonight to talk to us about that empowered standpoint that we're on as it relates to owning our sexuality. I hope that what we have said here really and truly opened your mind to what it is that you can offer. And I want you to have that in your head, in your mind, that when you talk to your spouse, that you are being open and honest about what it is that makes you tick and what it is that you can use to really help them to experience you in a more fruitful way sexually. So until next week, remember to like, comment, subscribe, everything, so that you can be reminded of our next episode. If you still want to talk about tonight's topic, and if you have questions to ask, just email us at ltranswers@gmail.com. See you next week, same time, same place. We're going to be having more open and honest conversation about those things that interest you. So thank you for tuning in tonight. And remember, until then, have great sex as the Lord intended.
Did you find this information helpful? Please let us know. And if you have a topic on your mind, which you would like for us to talk about, do not hesitate to reach out. Email us at ltranswers@gmail.com. For access to resources and additional information, please sign up free at our support website, www.familyalltheway.com. If you need help, connect with Dr. Faith Walters at www.familyalltheway.com/therapy with Dr. Faith. Get the help you need to develop and maintain strong, healthy relationships. Thanks for watching.